Hey, hey everybody. So I'm going to be doing some more cover design work, basically. Um, Let me get things rolling. Oh, I do not need to hear myself. Um, so last week I started the prep work for Ryder O'Malley's uh, fourth novel in his series, Invincible Nemesis. And so I'm going to be I might be able to wrap it up today. I'm not sure. You'll see there is a little bit of a slowdown when it comes to stuff like finding the last bit of stock image that's going to go behind them, because it is kind of important that the imagery work for the lighting situation, and that is a trial and error. There is no fast way to make that happen. Um, uh, I'm partaking in a cover event for a bunch of cover designers are putting together an event for the Ukraine. So I'm going to be working on that this week as well. And I have two awesome clients to work with. I'm doing a urban fantasy for RM Connor and wrapping up the last 3 books in a 12-book series for Deborah Dunbar. So this week is Photoshop heavy, which, is probably one of my favorite places to hang out. I kind of treat Photoshop like a big game. Everything's a challenge, and I want to see, can I make it do what I want it to? So that is always, the fun of Photoshop. So let me just finish sharing out. I can't spell invincible is what I'm learning. Facebook makes everything so difficult. So the first thing I noticed when I opened it up, like there's still some fine tuning on the Photoshop. If you look closely at the hand towards the bottom left, that is driving me bonkers. So I'm gonna have to fix that, or I will have a thermonuclear meltdown. Just whenever I see white, it freaks me out. So let me, one more thing to do on Facebook, and we are ready to go. Facebook, yet again, a pain in the butt. I wish I could never, ever have to use it again. All right. We got all that taken care of. So I can make you go away. And let's adjust some screen layout. There we go. All right. So we've got a good piece of this. I think the hardest part has been done. The molding the two images together, that is by and large the most complicated aspect of this, because these two things, one, they weren't even the right angle. So you kind of have to bend them in. Had to do some puppet warping, had to do some clever Photoshop hiding of things. But we got the body where we need it, which this is a paranormal romance. It's romance, but little sci-fi romance, I guess you could say. So the most important thing, by and large, is going to be uh, making sure the abs and the pecs kind of stay front and center. And because of the particular book and the characters involved, the making sure some facial hair is present. And you can see I got to go back in and adjust some facial hair up here. Um, so I'm going to do the fine tuning stuff today, and then we're going to start putting in the background. And if all goes well, should be able to finish up this cover um, today. That's the goal, and we'll see if it actually happens that way. So my philosophy in Photoshop is I'll fix that later. That is just how I roll. Um, what's going on here? Okay, reacquainting myself with my layers. And if you look closely, there is the dreaded halo of doom that goes all around this. So unfortunately, some of this you're going to get to watch me work on the halo of doom. I do have a couple quick tricks to help minimize that amount of work because it can be daunting. Um, and for anyone out there that is doing photoshopping, this takes a lot of work up front, but it will save you an uncanny amount of time after the fact. Um, get your trusty brush presets. Get the handful that you gravitate towards and absolutely love. It'll save you so much time later on. I'm doing this with a mask so I can keep going back in and fixing things up. The other thing I would recommend is if you are going to be a Photoshop person, uh, even if you're just doing it for a little this and that here and there, and it's not even something you primarily work with, get really comfortable with your shortcut keys. They will undoubtedly speed up your work. Um, you can see, like, for instance, being able to switch back and forth, stuff like that is uh, really handy, and it just makes life faster. And if Photoshop is kind of your moneymaker, speed does actually matter. Um, I've been using Photoshop so long that I developed some really bad habits of always having to go over to the toolbar and grab my tools. And not that it's a horrible thing, like no one's going to judge you for it, but in a 10-hour project, if you have to go over there time and time again, whew, by the end, you've spent minutes, maybe up to an hour of just hunting down tools. So though you can't see it, my hand basically just sits on the keyboard while I work. Um, and what's really funny about this is even though I think I'm fairly fast with this, I've watched some people with tablets that, ooh, damn, blow me out of the water. I, I have to say, those people, you frighteningly impress me. Okay, so we are back into the acceptable level. The other thing I want to do is, I know there's some white happening in his beard, and I'm completely on board for that. Uh, the character in the story is, a little bit older, but at the same time, like this hard, clumpy edge, whew, I like to avoid that stuff. So, um, I have found the best brushes to use for something like this are weird dried media brushes. They're a little unpredictable, but I like a little unpredictable. That's basically the theme of my life. And then I'll go back in with my handy dandy preset. Of course, I need to get, where are we? There we go. I'm just softening it up a little. There we go. I'm a little bit more confident about that. Okay, so this annoying halo. Whew, okay, because I know my background's going to be, complicated. There's going to be things, shapes, motion happening in the background. I can get away with a little bit more, but what I don't want to deal with is white halo. And for me, this just kind of stands out, and it shows the difference between artificial side, and you notice the dark line here. It's just one of these things doesn't belong with the other. So I do find it important to go back in and adjust that. Now, I'm going to try a super lazy trick and see if it works. This is not guaranteed. Sometimes I can get away with it. Let's see. So what I'm doing is creating an inner shadow. And what that's going to do is, I think we should be able to see it. It's created a little bit of a black line around the whole thing. I can work with the black line more than I can the white line. So let's go check some of the spots and see how the white line got affected. Okay. I think I can get away with that. Might have to revisit it. Okay, so the other thing that I really want to do is I don't like the color scheme. The yellow for me is not really working. I'm not sure what color I want to use. I'm cool with the red, but the amount of yellow, it's a little too Iron Man. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a hue saturation layer, and let's see if we can colorize. I'm actually kind of wondering if set it for just the armor for a second. Because I just need to see this in action. So right now I'm just testing to see what color. I don't want to go monochrome. I'm kind of feeling the blue a little bit. Okay, so here is downside is I am going to have to shape manually. There's no super easy way for this part. Ooh. So if there are folks out there, I can't actually see. Um, what are you working on today? Like, it's a beautiful Tuesday out where I am. I'm rather looking forward to getting some photoshopping done so I can go do my admin work on the porch. I have a lovely balcony that overlooks the city of Charlotte, and my butt wants some sun. I need to deep pasty myself. So this is the part of Photoshop where it is grueling. I can't lie and defend it. But I will say it is weirdly hypnotic. If I wasn't sitting here talking to you guys, I would have headphones on and I would just go into the zone and vanish. So this is one of the things that I think authors don't always realize. You know, you see this final product and you're like, oh, it looks awesome. And it should look awesome. But the amount of detail work that goes into these things can sometimes be the things that you don't see. And because of that, it causes, people get all flustered when they wonder what we're actually doing with all our time. I don't know if that's going to be the color I want, but I'm going to, let's see, what am I going to do? I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to copy that. Let's put down some, put that on there. Bring that in. Let's get rid of the fill. Oop. Okay, so what I'm doing is any of the parts that need to be light, just testing out some colors. Let's pull that glow back in a little bit. I'm not feeling the color yet. I think somewhere in there, a little green. it might be that I'm going to change the red as well because, well, red is a good color. It's not the most common in paranormal. It's more of a purple with teals. So we are a little bit restricted by what the genre allows. I can get away because my book is a little off genre, but we're not, werewolves and whatnot. But you want something that's a little unique. And when I say little, I mean very little. You kind of want things to blend in with everything else. So I know some authors are very, I want mine to stand out more than anyone else's. Well, unfortunately, that's not how readers always shop. They like familiarity. So it is the constant struggle of a designer to be original, but not too original. Some of this I can get away with a little bit. Let's see how I'm feeling about it now that I painted that in. Okay. Time to get a little more extreme. That's a little bit much. Okay, so let's. I mean, I would go with purple, but that might be a little. Let's see how this is affecting. So, one of the reasons that I'm trying this out right now is because the kind of problem that I'm finding is getting the colors to shine through. It's not feeling very unified, so seeing what I can get away with here. Kind of digging a little bit of the darker here. I'm going to be doing a little post process thing that will darken it out even more. So I don't want to go too extreme with being dark. But in the meantime, let's shut that off so I can see where I'm painting easier. And because I'm muting the hues later, I'm dialing down the colors and unifying it. My painting job here can be a little bit sloppier and still, to the human eye, it'll feel pretty spot on. I can't get that crazy. I really wish StreamYard or YouTube or whoever it is in charge stream music or copyright. It's so weird not having music to listen to. I could go get my earbuds, but instead I'll gripe about it. A little bit better. Yeah, the one downside to using the DAS models is some of the creators, like, don't get me wrong, this is an awesome armor suit. And I can definitely see it being used for, military sci-fi and all that. But the downside is because they want to define the sections, which in the long run does make it easier to work with. But at the beginning, whew, some of the colors are rough to work with. I have downloaded some less functioning DAS models before, and great, great pose, great outfit, but I would have had to hand paint the entire model from scratch, which is doable. But on a project, I don't want to spend, 10, 15 hours just changing color. I like a challenge and I like some of the monotony of the work, but we've got limits. It's shaping up nicely. Okay. I'm jiving with the color choices. I should break out my tablet and start getting more comfortable with a pencil instead of the mouse. I'm sure my hand would appreciate the variation. After a certain amount of time, carpal tunnel starts to kick in, and whoo, those muscles get sore. Who knew my mouse would do me in like that? And that's considering I actually have a great gaming mouse that I use. I like the weight aspect to it. Okay, I'm going to finish up the chevrons on this side, and then we'll take a zoom out and see how we're feeling about it. How many do we have to go? 3? Okay. So I'm not worrying about the background right now, kind of intentionally, because I want to find a background that I don't have to do an uncanny amount of photoshopping to. And that's not that I'm being lazy. It's that backgrounds tend to be a little bit more organic. And the more, once you kind of start manipulating them, it requires a lot of work to be good. So I like to start with a strong source image, and that way, if I do have to do any photoshopping, like I tend to swap out skies because I like moody, brooding skies. But if I have to do that, then I have to make sure that, you know, the color overlays work. Is there buildings? Now the sky has to wrap around buildings, and that turns into um, a lot of photoshopping that I don't necessarily need to do. There is a certain amount of work smarter, not harder in Photoshop, like my halo correction, and it doesn't always work. Sometimes the only way to do it is get down and dirty. The times it does work, you know, I save hours. And the faster I can process something and get it done into a shareable shape, the faster the client gets it, the faster I get paid, the faster they can produce their book. Um, so it's kind of it's a win on all fronts. Okay, we got one more to go. If you were watching last time, you saw me basically pop up a human, you know, legally. And those were like the really big things that kind of set the motif and the tone for the whole project. But while it's flashier, I'm very happy with that. Now let's flip that bad boy on. Oh, I'm kind of feeling that. That's a little helps the chest pop out, and the groin pops out quite a bit. I will need to do a little bit of work because the invincible is getting lost. But I have a technique for that. So we'll be able to come back to it. I want to get this project done because I have a super cool project coming up. Well, it's kind of underway, partially at least, with RM Connor. And she just sent me a graphic that got me kind of excited. So if you are a author, I always suggest if you like, so I sent her her first comp, and it's a super rough. So we're just in the layout stage, and I needed some feedback. because this is going to set the tone for her whole series. So I want her to be super happy. And she came back like, I'm not sure about this thing. Can we try this? Which perfectly acceptable. But she also, and this is one of the things I love about her, she sent me a graphic. She's like, what about something like this? Well, there are some things that get designers excited, and that there's a good client designer relationship when they can send you a single image, or in her case even a music video, and the ideas start just kind of flooding in. You have aha moments, and I love aha moments as a designer. They get me excited. And on top of that, she had some really good design ideas. And I personally am not egotistical enough to say, you know what, this is my design. I'm going to do what I want. I like the concept of partnering with authors. It just gives me warm fuzzies. And I think it's always great to bounce ideas. And they know their book better than I do, so all right. It's kind of getting where I want it to be. I'm sure there is a faster way to do this. Someone needs to develop a speed up my Photoshop course. I would pay good money for that. Once I started doing all the shortcut keys, things kind of snapped together for me. But there's still some things that just, their time sucks. Like, why couldn't I find this armor already colored this? Okay, we're getting a lot out of control here. All right, now we just need to do the waist. And some of the color is going to have to change no matter what I decide right now. You want it to be in harmony with the background. So if I find a background that I'm really feeling, what I'll do is I'll go back in afterwards and tinker with this a bit so that the colors better align. But some of my post-process tricks help unify the colors. And for this particular series, the post-process does a little bit of a grungy look, which I can get away with because we got the visual cue of abs, a nice dip down to the V on the pelvis, all the things that the romance authors or romance readers kind of cues that tell them how much sex is going to be on the page. I might have to take a little break, give my hand a rest. I've been photoshopping nonstop since this morning. I got projects to do and clients to deliver on. And what I'm going to start doing once I wrap up this cover, I'm going to start using the live stream to work on a pre-made each week. It might take me, a couple live streams to wrap it up, but I'm going to let people in my Facebook group decide on what the genre and maybe even the theme, because I like a good challenge. It tickles the designer in me. All right, let's check this bad boy out. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is get that. Now we got glow. Making sure we got it all. Oh, I think those colors are working. Let's see. So I'm in a couple designer chats at the moment. Let's do. What am I looking for? Someone just asked me. Where can they follow the stream? Trying to follow a designer conversation in a messenger, and if you don't check back every 30 seconds, 800 messages have flown by. I can't keep up with that. All right, so This is not our background color. Let's get something a little more. All right. So right now we're having the problem where the invincible of invincible is kind of fading into the groin, and I do want the text to take you over the groin like that. That is kind of important to the concept. So that is very intentional, but we are going to have to make that a little more legible. So that's where I'm kind of seeing some not issues, but uh okay, let's see if people will stop using this darn chat. And I'm going to toss out a link for the cover group. My grocery store is angry I'm not shopping there. All right. Let's go up in this. Let's see what's going on here. Not what I wanted to do. There we go. That'll definitely change depending on the background, but I just want to make sure all my elements are visible while I'm ironing out any last minute composition things. So this one's going to be a little more tricky than some of the other covers because of lighting. So let me just, all right, our dear friend lighting. So if we look at, we have light coming from this direction. We have a directional from here, and we have a backlight from over here. Now, this is going to give us some delightful issues, I am absolutely sure. So what I wind up doing is when these lighting situations get a little bit more complicated, I like to razzle dazzle. And I'm just going to slap a quick background in here. This is not the one I'm going to use, but if I put this in here, we can see that for the most part, this background has like crazy ambient lighting. Like there's some strong light source here. There's strong light source here. I mean, there's just light everywhere. So By having something like this, I can go back in and shadow out afterwards and start getting a little closer to what I am looking for. So we're not quite there yet. Um, but this is where I need to start thinking about that stuff. And, for how bright and how strong this particular light source is, I don't know if this background would quite work. We can toy with it a little bit. There's some methods of using light leaks to fake the eye, but now is time where we need to start thinking about the background and how it's going to play in. Um, I am going to do a quick post process just so I can see what it's going to look like after the fact. Um, so, oops, didn't mean to do that. All right, so I'm hopping into some other software right now. So basically, what I'm going to do for the post processing is I'm going to uh, do some sort of color, like not a flat color, but a strongly monochromed overlay, and then it'll help me figure out how bright or dark I'm going to be looking for later. And I tend to really like huh. Let's see, what did I use before? Purple and black. Oh, that's the one I want. This might be feeling a little. Ooh, that might be the one I want. Okay, so you'll get to see the things around here. And what this is going to do, it's going to help kind of unify some of my color scheme. I got to be careful because see how it created the white halo of doom. All right, so I might need to do a little bit better on my chop job, but I'm pretty cool with that. You can see where it's making it a little bit grittier in the shadow. That's what I'm kind of. So if we, now you can see how it's bringing out some of the chest. We're not quite there yet. Ah, yeah, I'm gonna have to go in and all right, so I guess I'm gonna have to go back in and do their chop job. So what I do for this is I refer to it as skimming the edges. I don't really know what the technical term is. But this is where I will say, hands down, designers, this shows, and sometimes we can hide this line. Like if he was magical, I might give him a white halo that would allow him to hide some of that. But um, but since mine's a little more on the tech side, I don't want to use halos to hide anything. Beard, I can have a little more leeway with. And the danger in this is, and you can see we have little moments where the earlier chop got a little ambitious. We'll come back and fix that. So where am I looking? I'm looking for body. I don't need there, but I do need here. And I know I already took care of that part, so I'm not too worried about that. And all this is going to do is, it looks like I'm basically peeling off the outer layer of his skin, but the good news is I'm zoomed in so much and very intentionally, so when you zoom back out, you hardly notice. But it is a fine detail that will help make or break the believability. And you know, I have this massive dude in a suit that I'm trying to convince the eye is real. Oh, see, that's not a little bit of a white halo. That would have driven me nuts to find that at the end. And when I zoom out, I'll make sure that the eye, like I didn't chop too much off somewhere and make a weird, like right there, that might be, let's smooth them out a little. Basically, this is a Photoshop weight loss job. Taking a few pounds off the side. And we don't have to worry about that. Okay, he's not nice and cleaned up now. So now let's go check the armor. These are the spots that matter. Especially in the overlap of where the two things are meeting, that halo can be a little bit dangerous because it helps pull the eye out of believability. And you can tell I'm not being super crazy intense about it. Look like a big deal right here, but when I put the background in, it'll stand out. So let's just skim now, worry less later. I'm definitely seeing it here. And I'll do one more check on this when I drop the background in to make sure that there isn't some crazy halo showing up. And thankfully, you know, this is kind of sci-fi, so maybe he has some exterior shield shimmery thingy. He doesn't, so. This is the part I will say is downright boring when it comes to photoshopping. And the dreaded crotch. I'm not entirely sure why, but my technique works pretty well on a lot of places, but man, the Photoshop auto selection areas really do not do the crotch any favors. Like, that's not just a little bit of a halo. That's like, look at me, which, I mean, I guess on romance, maybe I should leave it. I can't in good conscience. I might as well just draw a giant arrow pointing to. Oh, I need someone to make a romance satire book where I can just have abs with a bunch of arrows pointing to them. I guess I might know what I'm going to write next. Okay, I'm going to come in and do this whole side. And there are some other techniques that can get rid of this. Unfortunately, I think most of them are band-aids for a bigger job. So if I'm doing urban fantasy, I never need to do this because there are so many glowy halo things everywhere that this just looks intentional. So you kind of use it to your advantage. Fortunately, not so much here. And now you can kind of see Miranda shows up and I freak out and press all the wrong buttons. Miranda, I kind of want to, like those aprons that they make that are like the dude's body, like the naked torso. I want to do that with my superhero covers, and that way, you can be a super torso, which will make dinner taste all the more delicious. Okay, so we're doing good here. Lots of halo on this side. And in this situation, the reason the halo is so important to get rid of, because this is a shadow spot. The light's hitting from the other side, so this side is darker other than where the glow is, and the halo is actually creating a light source. And the best way to destroy a good design is have your light sources not line up. I am the first person to admit that it's something I used to do quite a bit. I have had to be steadily better about it. And when I don't actually know the answer, because sometimes the light sources get really complicated, I'll toss it out to someone, because this is where it becomes a little bit of a science meets art. I know where physically the light sources should be reflecting and what they should be hitting, but sometimes it doesn't hit the eye correctly. And so you have to basically eyeball it. And when we get into eyeball moments, I always feel it's super important to, put eyes on the design and get feedback. We can. This is the halo from earlier. See, I hate having to do something twice. So I should have just done a tighter job the first time around. That's not a halo, but that is a weird light source right there. I'm reshaping the gloves just a little bit as I go along. I want them to be a little more circular. Just because I feel that that's the way it should look. No logic, just because. And in my world, that's a perfect reason. All right, so I need to find, we'll go from right here. You can see just my mouse preference is working down, not up. We'll have to touch that up in a second. The good news is once we have this done, then begins the pain in the butt of looking for stock photos. And I have some ideas of what I want. I'm going to go look back at the other books in this series. One was in the sky. One was kind of a stormy, lightning-filled background, which worked out really well. Another one had kind of a portal. So typically in like urban fantasy, you have like buildings in the background. You have the urban aspect. Romance doesn't have all of those limitations. The setting is not necessarily. We need to wrap that around a little bit more. the setting isn't necessarily something that needs to be conveyed. So I haven't really given settings up to this point. The last one had a couple buildings in it, but it was more to show off the superpowers. So and this dude's superpower is directly connected to his suit, if I remember correctly. So I want to make sure that we do something to kind of highlight that in the background. Originally, I wanted some like high-tech lasers, but the lights just did not work in a way that made me happy. Okay, let's check the interior halo. Looking pretty good. Pull that back just a bit. And this one gets a little bit complicated because of how much I've chopped off the original. But we can see a little bit of a halo here. I don't want that to fudge with our shadows. Let's do a quick check on this side. That can have a halo. This can probably be brought back a little. All right, I'm feeling good about it. Double check the head. There we go. All right. Okay. Pull back for a minute and check it on. All right, let's take a little bit of a gander. Let's look at the cover prior. How are we feeling? I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. Miranda, I just saw the other comment. I have been known, I don't do this often because, you know, body positivity, but there might have been one or two photos where I have slightly skimmed the edges to tighten up a little, let's say. Because, you know, why not? Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to grab whoop, don't want that there. I always put things in the wrong order. I'm just taking a gander at the evolution. All right, I'm feeling good on this. There's a really stark contrast here, so I might need to some good contrast there. But you can see the backgrounds I have not actually used. I've used the background to kind of highlight the special effects section, kind of show off powers per se. So we have like some sort of portal-y thing. We have like a firestorm in the background, which kind of works out with this character. And then we have just kind of the Superman-esque flying. Really need an excuse for a cape. So this one's a little bit more on the mechanical side. So I'm thinking whatever I do in the background is going to have to kind of reflect a little bit of that mechanics. So just spitballing ideas where I had this, city background. This doesn't feel like it belongs for this character. Let me fix some. There we go. The city background just it doesn't work. It doesn't give any sort of story to complement the character. So what I'm probably thinking about doing is something relating to like tech. So I'm probably going to see maybe there's some sort of cool high tech background that could help reinforce the idea that this dude is like a tech heavy dude. Um, and one of the important things is you want the cover to tell a little bit of its own story, not so much that it runs contrary to the actual novel, but like I can see the shattering glass, I can see the breaking of the suit, I can see the portal of some sort on the other dude. I could see things burning away, um, and then kind of a fiery abstract background, and then flying up in the clouds because it's superheroes. So let's do it. Also, the more I keep staring at this dude's face, looks like Justin Timberlake. Not intentional; it just happened to be that way. So here is the unfortunate piece of being a cover designer is we now need to go stock hunting, and this can be such a tedious process and it's time consuming. So there's no fast way to do it. Unfortunately, you kind of walk in and you bang out as much as you can as fast as you can. um I was just checking the delay. um So I do most of my stock hunting on deposit photo, and I'm not gonna share the screen with you because it's painstaking. Um, so in the meantime, what I'm gonna do is let's touch up some of the text so it's a little. I kind of need to wait until I get a background in there. I guess background is the next thing. This city background is just not working for me. So not that this is exactly what I'm going to go for, but let's see what it would do for us. Pull this all the way down. Let's flip this bad boy. Like, I kind of dig the abstractness of it, and this is something that might be usable. So we're gonna bookmark it for later use. But what I'm kind of feeling most is I don't like the white. But like this idea of there being a screen of some sort behind him and showing off tech. So I wonder if I can find a building with a billboard. Ooh. Let's just try one more thing, because this would be I like tech. Ooh, there's some nifty backgrounds here. Just see what this might look like. And now welcome to the kind of feel it out stage. Oh, I do like the abstractness of it, but I'm still kind of feeling this city building. The problem is the more specific stock you start looking for, the harder it is to come by. So right now I'm looking for some sort of building billboard. And already I am seeing that this is going to be a challenge. I'm going to keep hunting. Kind of want an almost Times Square feel. Let's just drop a Times Square in there and see if it gives us the warm fuzzies I'm looking for. I can't actually use this one anyways because it's an editorial photo, but the other option I have, which could equally work, is going to be trying a scene that is a little more low effects. And thankfully, I use it a lot. Cyberpunk happens to have a lot of directional lighting in it. So we can get away with quite a bit of foolishness. when it comes to our lighting. And I'm not hating it, but I'm not quite there. Huh. Let's try something. Fortunately, so far my favorite still winds up being some more of the abstract stuff. Yeah, Miranda, that's kind of what I'm searching for right now, is a little bit of that slightly grungier feel. The problem I'm having is there is such strong lighting on him that if some of these pieces are just absolutely gorgeous to be, because the lighting on him is so particularly strong. uh hmm, I'm a sucker for some good synth wave. Just found kind of a nifty, not that I would use it for the whole thing. But it is giving me some of that tech vibe. I'm digging this color piece here because that would light this. So I'll tint this to fit that purple. The light here is lighting this up, but I still need something radiating from up high. Oh, there's so many gorgeous tech noir. Unfortunately, so many of them are dark, which I mean they should be. That's kind of what their whole shtick is. But because they're dark, he would stand out like a sore thumb. There's also the possibility of a massive image, so I can get away with quite a bit on the sky. Come back to that. Welcome to the least glamorous part of doing cover design, hunting down stock imagery. And some of the reason why it's such a pain in the butt is and it's not photographer's fault. It's just we all speak a little bit of a different visual language. And how do you tag some of these things? Is it, neon abstract, or is it cyberpunk, or is it noir, or is it, so everyone has slightly different version of it. There's no, visual police out there. And so trying to get things that line up to the thing in your head doesn't always happen. I am finding some cool stock images though. The one good thing is, as you kind of go through this, you start bookmarking, like, oh, that would make a cool character for this type of book. Let me bookmark it for later. And so you're slowly building up your library of inspiration, which, is super helpful. All right, so I feel we've got some potential solutions in here. Okay, let's. I'm currently hunting, just doing a quick hunt to see. Um, I'm doing some kind of abstract word searches now. Like, Matrix inspired, so cyberspace, techno. I'm looking at HUD displays. What? Okay, so I got some. I'm not quite feeling this one as much now. I'm almost worried it's too busy. So let's see if we Change the hue saturation. Or if we colorize it. That could work. Okay, I'm going to hold on to that. I feel that's a little too abstract for what I want. Let's see if we can find just a quick. I don't know why people think billboards are in such weird locations when they make their 3D files. I'm not trying to judge you or anything, but people wouldn't put billboards in these weird ass locations. Because then what I could do is drop that. Decided against that one. Let me go back. This is feeling like the right abstract level of abstract. I still need to do something kind of interesting above him. But I am feeling this file. So we're going to start here, which is going to give us our color palette. Let me go back and find that handy dandy file. Grab that. So what this is going to allow me to do is pull this purple right here and give him a little bit of a coloring on the side. And that's going to be pretty important. Ooh, Miranda's sending me some nifty files. Miranda, give me those numbers. I'm kind of curious. She found a pretty cool, nifty, abstract, glowy. Like there's a lot of different light sources, which that's kind of the fun effect we're going for. We can keep the bottom and we can merge them in, but that would give us content up here, which would give us some light sources. I am going to just drop in because this is driving me nuts. I'm going to put in a light leak in just a second. She has me hunting cyberpunk screens. Helps if you spell it. Ooh, I like weird. So many HUD displays. I love a good HUD display. I found her file. This is just a gorgeous file. Let's drop this in here. Let's swing that around. And the beauty of something like this, did I put it on the wrong layer? Of course I put it on the wrong layer. There we go. So now the beauty is kind of blending it back in. So that's a win for Miranda right there. She's on top of it. I'm gonna just see if I can get it to blend the way I want. We got some weird tech happening here. And the great thing is as I'm looking at the cover and I'm just trying to think of the narrative that's going to go with this, there is some nifty narrative options that, what's going on here? Is it tech related? Is it, there's, I kind of almost getting a little bit of a spaceship vibe. So there is a narrative happening. All right. So I'm kind of feeling good about this part right now. So let's pull that layer out for just a moment. Let's actually download this file. Don't tell me I can't have a file. just so many cool. I think what I love about the cyberpunk genre as a whole is that lighting. One, I like the color palette a whole lot, but I also really like um the lighting that comes into it. You know, you have your dark noir style, kind of grungy cyberpunk, but then you also have there are just some. Not that I want to go this route, but I wouldn't use this one because there's words in it. But no, that's a little too literal for me. I prefer the abstract one. Do, 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 do. If I can find my files. And not that this is intentional, the halo around the head effect is generally kind of a kind of a divine, godly thing. Which, you know, my in those stories, superheroes are, you know, not gods, but godly-ish. Let's get a little bit of that back. Just hold that back a little bit there. All right, so I'm feeling we're getting some good tech happening, and I like the background for the back cover as well. I don't typically design the back cover at the same time. Like I don't put the type and whatnot, but I do want the background to somehow have a connection. So that's why I'm a big fan of crossing over the spine. And sometimes it can just be a super simple element, but like this grid along the bottom, just I kind of dig it. So our next step is going to be getting the lighting to work, which is not an easy task because we're going to have to go in and manually color some of the highlights and pull in these other colors. And before I even do that, I want to get the light leak in there. And what this is going to do is I'm just going to leak brush. I'll be kind of lazy about it. So I am manually adding in the light. And what that's going to do is, let's see if we can get it. I don't want it quite not crazy strong. I mean, I can always just leave it normal, and then let's grab my handy dandy soft. Do a little mask. It's not quite harsh there. And then I could always just bring down the opacity. Okay, maybe not that much. So that is kind of a cheap trick to include a light source that might not otherwise be there. You can give it an off the page. And because I have the head going off the page, it doesn't feel as awkward. I wouldn't do this with something that was in the middle unless there was a legit light source reason, like a lamp, or, you know, even if it's divine light, as long as it works with the context and the story, then you're fine. But because I'm going off the page here, I can get away with a little bit more weirdness. But yeah, so let's go in and let's give a little bit of coloring to the model, and we're going to create a the easiest way to do this is just go pull a color right from there. We're going to do circle gradient, something like that. Let's put it down on the body. Let's give it a soft light. There we go. If I wanted to, I could give a little something up here as well, just to then I need to do the same thing to the suit. We definitely have some. We don't want to go too crazy overboard with it, but giving those little edges are what's help pulling him back into the piece. So without it, he sits super far forward. So what we're kind of doing is dragging him back in. All right, so we're not very far off from wrapping this bad boy up. Quite literally, this bad boy. We need to do some adjusting for the colors. We need to correct the Invincible, so there's a little bit of a dark sheen over the crotch here, which there's a bunch of ways to kind of dial down crotch intensity. And then we will do the overlay. Oh, I got rid of the one I wanted. And then we should be pretty close. So we're probably about a half hour to completion. So not too shabby. I walked in here with a pretty strong plan. I did have to do some prep work on the original stock photos. So we'll say 6 hours beginning to end, which for a book cover, not shabby. I could, I should try and get that a little bit tighter, especially when it's something later in a series, because I know what's going to be happening. But I am pretty darn happy with that. All right, so I'm just going to drop all in the comments because, you know, that's what we do here. If you want to follow and check out other work that I'm doing, you can check out the Cover Villain Facebook group. That's where I do a lot of my stuff up front. And most likely that's where you will see this finished cover when it's all ready, set to go. Book 4 in the Men of Vanguard series. And I think there's one more to be done. I'll have to sort that out. But I need to go give my hand a little bit of a break. Sorry to crack my knuckles in your ear. I'm going to go take a little bit of a break. And then I need to come back and start working on R.M. Connors. And then the rest of my afternoon will be wrapping up some of Deborah Dunbar's Imp series, which I'm quite excited. The last couple of them are just some fun poses to work with. So today is heavy day photoshopping. So I'm going to let everyone go. You can follow me on any of the social medias, you know, where have you, or if you really want, you can check out the pre-made covers on Cover Villain's actual website. All right, I'm going to head out for today. I'll be back next week. We're going to do the same time, 9:30 to 11:30. And I think I snagged a couple other designers who might be coming to hang out. So we're slowly going to start photoshopping up a storm. All right, so I'm going to head out. Have a good afternoon. It's Tuesday. Monday's already over, basically the end of the week. So everyone take care, and I will chat with you all later.